Bro, people are so infuriating when they drive. Don't understand. I do not understand. Hello, everybody. How are you guys? I hope you guys are good. The last time you guys saw me, I wasn't doing that great. Do you guys like not trust me because you can't see my eyes? I understand. I completely understand. Bestie, you're valid in that. Nice to see you guys. It's been a minute. Figured I'd give you guys an update because last time you guys saw me, I was not doing the best. So besties, let's talk about it. Let's dissect it as, you know, as we should. I decided when I was starting my healing process, my journey, that no matter what, I would be honest about it for whoever decides to start their journey. My YouTube in general, I didn't want it to be just about my journey. That's kind of the only thing I have to offer right now. I'm just trying my best to heal and to be the best version of myself. But that has proven to be hard. I find that there's this frustration as a society. We're just super impatient. People will be like, yeah, mental health is important, but you gotta be healed by a certain time. It's just a quick fix. I felt the same way, and it's not. Out of the 26 years of my life, I have been in this constant cycle of like suffering, whether that was caused by me or caused by other people or caused by trauma responses to, like, you know, whatever the case. I have not had it easy. The one thing that I have never been more sure of was that, like, my mental health was important to me, and healing my mental health before I have children or before I involve myself in other people's lives, healing was going to be at the top of my list no matter what. I started my spiritual journey 2 years ago, so that has been amazing. The universe has this funky little way, funny trickster little, isn't that cute, way of serving you up some doozies, bro. Like, once you choose to be a spiritual person, it's kind of like the same as like your healing process. Once you open that can of worms, there's no closing it, unfortunately. All that is coming out, and it's coming out fast, especially depending on your life's path and journey. I'm a healer. I've known that I was a healer, but I didn't know and take pride in that until I started my spiritual journey. But I always was drawn to helping other people, trying to make sure other people felt good, trying to make sure nobody knew what sadness was, trying to make sure that people felt heard and understood and loved, at least by me. I was always trying to give people a safe space, always giving people an ear, a shoulder to cry on. That's just always been me. When I was a teenager, all that turned me sour. So I couldn't stop doing it because that's who I am. But my responses to people, my patience with life, like everything was just, I was very sour, okay? In my spiritual journey, I keep coming back to who I was as a kid, if that makes sense. I've never felt more connected to my inner child than I do now. And that's fantastic because my inner child is the one who holds all this loving, pure energy that makes me feel good no matter what, how life plays out. Like, I am proud of my loving energy. It took a lot of work to get there, though. It took a lot of moments like ones that you saw for me to come back around and be like, this is who I am, and I'm proud of myself, and this is, you know. So within that realization, I always felt a responsibility to help people. Now it's twice that, except I'm learning healthy boundaries and healthy coping mechanisms for when things don't play out the way I expect them to play out. And it's not that I expect things to play out the way I want them to play out. Give somebody some love, and you wouldn't expect them to spit in your face right after. Around this time last year, unfortunately, something traumatizing happened to me, and I was not prepared for the results of that trauma. I ended up getting resentful. I have severe PTSD, and that reached its peak. So by the time I recorded the video I posted last, I was beyond my limit, and I was in a lot of pain, like a lot, in this state of anger for everything, for who I was as a person, for how I was raised, for the situations that led me to the situation that got me that trauma. I was so angry. I'm a sad girl. I identify as a sad girl, but I never allowed myself to be angry. So for the past couple months, things have happened that are cause for anger, but they were like opportunities for me to like put my foot down and then keep it going. But instead I would put my foot down and then like make sure I was crushing skulls under my foot. You know what I mean? You get to a point where like all your coping mechanisms do not help you. They don't fit who you become. Once this thing happened to me, I was trying to process life how everybody processes life. You just get over it and you keep pushing. And while that's great for everybody else, and that's like, you know, fantastic if you can do that and that's something that works for you, I can't. That's not healthy for me. So I opened Pandora's box. You can't ignore what you find in there. Like, you just can't. There's no going back. Almost died. You can't unsee your bad habits. You can't unsee the patterns and the cycles that you have yourself stuck in. You can't unlearn, you know what I mean? Like the behaviors that were set in your trauma responses. I grew up with a lot of resentment towards myself because I felt like I put myself in situations even though I had no control over the situations that I found myself in. I was a kid, so like I ate that shit. I like swallowed it. I kept it under lock and key. I didn't want to burden anybody with my issues. I didn't want to seek help like from other people. Like I didn't want like none of that. So this time around when this happened, I knew that talking about things was like the way to go because I'm in therapy, and again, that's what helps me cope. So I know what I needed to cope with this, and that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to put my best foot forward. I was trying to live my life. I was taking instructions out of a manual that had nothing to do with my machine, if that makes sense. You live your life like that, eventually it's gonna bubble over. I did have a slip up in the beginning of the year, some self-inflicted harm. That usually happens when I completely overlook myself, and I didn't know that that's what was happening, which is why it was that much more crazy. I thought that I was on top of my shit. I thought that I was getting my shit together. I thought that I was getting better, and I thought that I was going to succeed and this wasn't gonna hold me back. And like months after the fact, being smacked with like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like my therapist told me I had PTSD. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. I grew up with, wow. It was like the missing link in my healing process. But this time around, I guess the best way to put my frustration was that I felt like I went through worse as a child. So when I went through another experience of the same shit, the emotions were so intense. The PTSD was so suffocating and painful. It didn't make sense to me. Like I couldn't remember how I got through it the first time. I didn't know how I managed. And I think that's why the anger came out, because when I was a kid, I was sad about it. I was sad about everything that happened to me, and I blamed myself and all this stuff. It just felt like I wiped all that progress away. That event just cleared the slate. I ended up hurting myself. I had this like moment of like, bro, again, I'm trying my best in this life, and you would assume that if you did everything the way everybody else does it, then you'll succeed. But I just needed some time. I just needed some time to process and to breathe, and I wasn't really given that time, and so it was just like I blew up. Even though it was unfortunate that I had to go back to that coping mechanism. Because I went back to it, I was so disappointed in the fact that like I was pushed to that I had a moment of like, hold on. I checked in with myself. I was like, are we really doing this again? Like, no, we're not. This ain't gonna work for me. So let's find out what works for me. Things started looking up, honestly. It's not better. Like, it could be way, way better than what it is. But every single unhealthy habit that I have, every single unhealthy coping mechanism, every single comfort zone, everything that keeps me hindered has been flipped upside down. So I'm not comfortable at all. Even now, I'm still super uncomfortable. Like, that's enough to send people over the edge. It's so specific that I'm like, okay, I can't ignore it. Like, I have to change this. It was just really one of those moments of like, you're really doing this, you have to do this. Like, it's almost like I realized that all this progress I've made, all this healing, this whole journey, like I've been doing it the wrong way. it's just life. That's how life is. I'm not a big fan of life. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm trying. Right now it's just time for me to figure myself out and figure out what I like to do and what I want to do. And I know what I want to do. I want to help people heal. But I can't help people heal if I'm not healing. I don't know. There's so much more to say about it. But I can't. I don't know what to say. Like I don't know how to explain it. 'Cause it's been a lot, like too much. And I know that somebody else is going to experience this, and I wish I had the right things to say, but ultimately what I realized is that you need to sit in your feelings. You can't avoid the unavoidable. You can't run away from your feelings. You can't run away from thoughts. You just can't. Well, if you want to actually be a healed person, if you actually are trying to heal and want to heal, like, you just can't. There's steps that you can't skip. There's things that you can't keep doing, and it's jarring. It's so jarring because you're used to living your life one way, or you're used to like a new way that you've developed of coping, and like you would expect to like be able to fine tweak those things for them to fit your growth, but they won't, because they've served their purpose. That purpose is served already, and you just keep insisting on going back to that comfort zone, or going back to that, like, you know what I mean? As a result, I'm gonna teach you the lesson the hard way, unfortunately, but you know, you'll pick up on it. You just have to feel it. Like, honestly, that's one thing that I kept hearing, like a download that I got, I guess you can call it, was that like you have to feel your feelings all the way through in order to like, you just can't skip it. You can't skip this part. Like, this part of my life was super undesirable. I felt like it was super unnecessary. I felt like it was the worst timing ever, but I've allowed it to consume me. That's why it led up to the bubbling point, because I wasn't allowing it to affect me at all, because I thought that that's what the answer was, and it wasn't. I'm basically back at one. Like, it feels like I'm back at one, even though there are subtle changes, like the acceptance. Like, I'm quicker to accept things, like life lessons. I'm like quicker to be like, okay, I'm not gonna fight this. I need a better way of processing. I need a better way of coping. But anyway, this parking lot is getting full like a motherfucker. I just wanted to come up here real quick and like be like, hey, I'm okay. I'm doing better. I'm not doing my best, but I will be soon. And I'm gonna trust the process regardless. People are drama. Anyway, I just wanted to update you guys. I don't want to worry anybody. It's just sometimes you gotta lose hope, honestly. Sometimes you gotta hit rock bottom, or like, you have to reach your limit. And my limit is actually a lot bigger than I thought it was.
The limit does not exist.
We're gonna be doing better. I want to be able to look back at these moments and be like, damn, you're just trying your best. And I'm gonna give myself that credit, because I deserve that. And nobody else can give that to me. And that's what I'm really learning, is that there's a lot of things that other people can't do for me. It all starts with you, and what you're willing to put up with, and what you're willing to deal with. Nobody should be going through that kind of pain and experiencing that kind of mental anguish. I've always thought that I was weak, and I'm a lot stronger than I think I am. Like, a lot. I'm looking forward to being the completely loving and happy person that is waiting for me on the other side. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing great. If not, this too shall pass. Sometimes you gotta sulk in it. Sometimes you gotta feel it. Sometimes there are things that are unavoidable. There are lessons that you just gotta, there's experiences that you have to have in order to grow. And I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. There's nothing we can do about that except change our perception, because life is 10% living and 90% reacting. I hope you know that your feelings are valid, and that you can do anything you set your mind to, including healing, being a better person. Take care of yourselves, okay? It's worth it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time, hopefully sooner. If not, please understand, I'm trying my hardest. Damn. But like, bye, fool.